Coming up, local leaders discuss the state of the town.
Let me just say, we're better than we once were, and we're not as good as we want to be.
The impact of Marathon Monday right here in Bridgewater. And a longtime member of the school committee seeks out a new challenge. These stories and more ahead. The Bridgewater Review starts right now.
Thank you for watching our April 20th edition of Bridgewater Review. I'm Scott Olson.
And I'm John Locke. A series of March snowstorms postponed the annual State of the Town address.
To the extent that the state of the town is strong and growing stronger, it's because of you. You're the ones paying the bills. You're the ones choosing to make a life in our town. You are the reason we're here tonight.
Leaders from across the community came together this month for the State of the Town address. This annual event highlights the achievements of last year and the goals for this year. In 2017, the government implemented an administrative code, conducted several successful union negotiations, and did an in-depth look at hiring procedures. In his address, Town Manager Michael Dutton looked back at one of the most controversial issues here in town, the debate over the recreational use and sale of marijuana.
With this particular issue, residents have found that they have a voice, that they can advocate for what they believe is right. And it's helped to properly draw a sharp distinction between the policy-setting role of this council and the operational role of the town manager and the staff. And honestly, this form of government thrives when those two roles are clearly defined and delineated.
To further the point, Council President Tim Fitzgibbon spent a little time explaining the role of the council and how their decisions affects the town as a whole.
We had some fits and starts along the way, if you all remember that. But I think we're pretty settled now in that the town council is the legislative body of the town, and the town manager is the chief executive officer, and that's how we try to approach things. The town council, in cooperation and working with the people of the town, the employees of the town, needs to drive the goals, drive the plan of the town.
Looking ahead to 2018, Council President Tim Fitzgibbon would like to see the council articulate long-range goals better. Mr. Dutton plans to resolve dispositions for all vacant town-owned buildings like the McElwain School, Memorial Building, and Town Hall. There is also the upcoming contract renewal with Comcast, planning for the Mitchell School, affordable housing, and streetlight repairs. Mr. Dutton also spoke about the potential for a paid parking program. Ultimately, this would fund future infrastructure projects in town, including sidewalk repairs, parking lot improvements, and a parking garage.
I have never seen a more committed and dedicated group of employees and volunteers than I have in Bridgewater. I thank them for their commitment to public service. I also thank my assistant, Michael Spagone, who exemplifies the spirit of municipal government service, and Council Clerk Ann Holmberg, who keeps the council and me on an even keel and can answer almost any question I might have, day or night. So I ask that you give them and yourselves a round of applause for the work that you do on behalf of Bridgewater.
The 122nd Boston Marathon has come and gone, but those dreary weather conditions couldn't dampen the spirit or smiles of those that participated or attended.
Every year, there are hundreds of inspiring stories that come out of the race. This year saw the first American woman to win the race since 1985.
It also marked 5 years since the marathon bombings. Acts of kindness, service projects, and of ceremonies of remembrance took place all across the state the weekend before the marathon. Bridgewater's Town Council designated April 13th as Martin Richard Day. The 8-year-old, along with Crystal Campbell and Linzu Liu, lost their lives during the explosion.
Whereas in the days following the bombing, photo of Martin holding a drawing with the words, "No more hurting people, peace," went viral, becoming a symbol of hope for human kindness. Whereas in the years following, Martin's call for peace has become an inspiration to so many, most notably in the formation of the Martin Richard Foundation and Team MR8. Whereas the family has a personal connection to the town of Bridgewater as Bridgewater State University alumni. Therefore, the Town Council wishes to recognize Martin Richard and declare Friday, April 13, 2018, as Martin Richard Day in the town of Bridgewater.
On Martin's Day, students from Bridgewater Middle School donated $700 that they had raised for the Martin Richard Foundation. The BMS Student Council sold over 100 t-shirts with Martin's infamous message, "Stop hurting people, peace," written on them. Martin's parents met at Bridgewater State University and continue to work closely with officials on spreading Martin's legacy of peace. You can learn more about the Martin Richard Foundation at teammr8.org.
Today is a good moment for a number of reasons, not only for the people you see before you, but for us as a department, this is a great day.
5 members of the Bridgewater Police Department were promoted to the next stage of their careers. Lieutenant Thomas Schlass was promoted to Captain and Executive Officer. Sergeant Carl McDermott was promoted to Lieutenant and Operations Officer. Officer Scott Heil was promoted to Sergeant and Patrol Supervisor. Officer Robert Bailey was promoted to Sergeant and Patrol Supervisor. James Doherty Jr. was sworn in as Bridgewater's newest police officer.
And I think today goes a long way to demonstrate how important it is for the people of Bridgewater to understand the work that goes on to keep this town safe on both a police level and a fire level, and hopefully the importance of creating a level of professionalism in this town that allows the town to grow and become the town that I think we all want it to become.
BPD stands for Best Police Department, because that's what you guys are, period. End of story. And I can't thank you enough for what you do, and I can't thank these gentlemen for stepping up to new roles and doing new things for the department and for the town. And I couldn't be any prouder of all of you, and especially these guys up front. Thank you very much.
The families have always been there for them and for us. The officers that are here, we don't give out gifts. They have earned this. They have worked for this. They deserve to be here. But they also owe a great and deep sense of gratitude to you as the husbands and the wives that have stood by us during those holidays away, during those late night phone calls, those after hours meetings, those last minute call outs, to all those things that have interrupted our lives on a daily basis, and you have been there for us. And so to you, those family members that I see that are here today and I've seen for many years, I say thank you, and we truly appreciate what you do for us.
Bridgewater Police Department also participated in High Five Friday on April 13th. This is a community policing program where police officers welcome students with a high five on their way to school in the morning. The program is meant to foster a sense of trust and to promote positive interactions and relationships between police officers and students. School administrators are hoping parents will attend their next school committee meeting on April 25th. At the beginning of the budget season, Superintendent Derek Swenson had planned to hire 16 new full-time hires. Since then, the budget has decreased, allowing for no new hires next year. These cuts will not be easy to endure, however. They will be, for the most part, assist in maintaining current class sizes and student services, Swenson said in a recent newsletter. Again, the next meeting will take place on April 25th. For more information on the fiscal 2019 proposed school budget and upcoming meetings, visit www.bridge-rain.org/school committee. Bridgewater Rainham School Committee Chair Patricia Riley has announced that she will not seek re-election. Instead, the longtime member is now running for a seat on the Rainham Board of Selectmen.
Bridgewater residents will have a say on who is chosen for the school committee. 3 candidates are vying for the 2 seats currently held by Riley and incumbent Louis Gelfi, who is running for re-election. The 2 challengers are Michelle Danubio and Rachel King. The 2 Bridgewater races are uncontested, with both incumbents Michael Dolan and Jason Hammond both seeking re-election unopposed.
All of the races on the Bridgewater ballot are uncontested. Marilee Kinney Hunt is seeking another term as town clerk, along with councilors Fred Chase, Tim Fitzgibbons, Dennis Gallagher, and Aisha Loesch. The election will take place at Bridgewater Middle School on April 28th.
Town councilors are receiving a bit more information when it comes to the sale of the McElwain School. The town council invited the developers of the proposed McElwain project to their April 10th meeting. Jason Core from Capstone Communities is working with MPZ Developments to turn the vacant school into a housing development that would have 36 apartments and 16 workforce apartments, ranging from 1 to 3 bedrooms, for a project that will be a long-term agreement between the owners and the town.
We will be owning this building and financially on the hook for at least 15 years. We'll be signing financial guarantees. So if there's a leak in the roof 7 years from now, we're the ones who are on the hook for it.
We would employ the highest levels of construction quality in this renovation. We are obligated to be in these transactions for a minimum of 15 years as the kind of managing partner of the LLC. So we're invested in making sure we build a very high quality building.
The development partnership has other restoration projects, including buildings in Brockton, Sharon, the Cape, and Harlem, New York. There are 3 buildings on the developer's resume that broke down the financial aspect of this project. The Simpkins School in Yarmouth saw the developer pay $563,000 to the plan, while the town paid $250,000. The Cody School in Bourne, completed last year, had a town contribution of $500,000, and the developer paying $550,000. The Wilbur School in Sharon had the biggest price tag of $29 million. The town contributed $1.5 million for site studies and cleanup in the building that included asbestos, which is something the McElwain School may have to have cleaned up as well.
That being said, the school is filled with asbestos, just like the McElwain School is filled with asbestos. The town of Sharon, between the asbestos removal and a number of studies that they did, spent $1.5 million on the school to get it ready to be repositioned and sold to Beacon.
During the presentation, the developer pointed out that the town has a significant liability on their hands.
It's not as though if you do this project, it's going to cost you $250,000 plus $30,000 a year, or you do nothing and it costs you nothing, right? You have a pretty significant liability on your hands right now. You have an uninsured building that, anything could happen in. You have environmental liability that whether you deal with it today or you deal with it 20 years from now, the liability is still there. And the town has been around for a long time. And I guarantee you that at some point, the environmental liability will come back to the town. Asbestos is known visually, and there might be stuff in the groundwater and the soil. Everything we've done has it. Those are things that we would take on, if we closed on the building, and we would take the risk for that. So I just want to be very clear that it's not either you do this and you take on some financial responsibility, or you don't do this and there's no responsibility whatsoever, because obviously it's a pretty big liability as it stands. So.
During his councilor comments at the end of the meeting, Councilor Sean George said he likes the project and the residential growth. However, points out selling the town property takes away a site the town could use for other purposes in the future.
I think I've been very vocal at my concern around residential growth in Bridgewater. And believe it or not, I like the project. Looking at it in detail, I think it's well thought out. I like the structure. I like a lot of things that it brings to. I do not like the fact that we are selling town property. Why couldn't we get this in a place that we didn't have to give up, which I think is extremely valuable town property that we are probably going to need down the road for things that are going to come to a head pretty soon in regards to needs.
When we return, the special invitation for BR's robotics team.
And a local man makes his debut on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? How he did, next.
Got no strings to hold me down, to make me fret, to make me frown. I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me.
If only it were true. Muscular dystrophy has tied this boy to a wheelchair. Dystrophy turns healthy muscle into useless fat. Help science free children everywhere from the bonds of muscle disease. Please give.
Now I'm free. There are no strings on me.
TJ Squared is heading to the World Championships. The BR Robotics team received an invitation to the first World Robotics Championship after winning both the New England District at Worcester Polytechnic Institute tournament and the first robotics tournament Southeast Massachusetts New England District competition.
And TJ Squared was eliminated in the quarterfinals of the New England Championships. However, the top 34 teams from New England advanced to the World Championships. This season, teams are tasked with building a robot and operating it so that it can pick up boxes and stack them on platforms and scales. The team heads to Detroit on April 25th, and this is the 23rd season for the robotics program. And remember, we'd love to share news about your student or school on the program. You can reach us here at the studio at 508-697-1833 or on Facebook by searching BTV Access Corporation. A Bridgewater man made his debut on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Jonathan Lobinger was on the daytime game show and told host Chris Harrison what he would do with the money.
What would you do with this kind of money?
So, Chris, I know my mom's watching right now.
Yep.
And she's going to be totally surprised to hear that when I win, I'm going to buy her a house. And she's... And the reason why I said she's going to be surprised is because she has been calling me all week, saying, John, what are you going to do with all the money? And I keep saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And so, Mom, if you're watching, surprise.
Well, that's a nice surprise. What's her name?
Joyce.
Joyce.
Yes.
All right, Joyce. This is all for you.
Not a bad day for Jonathan. I think he did better than us, but he did leave the show with $20,000. Congrats, Jonathan.
Yeah, great job for Jonathan for sure. Now, hard work both academically and personally is leading in Bridgewater State student to Capitol Hill. Tyler Crispin has more.
And Sylvia of class of 2018 has been selected to participate in this year's Posters on the Hill, which is a committee research showcase in which undergrad students will present projects to lawmakers. And Sylvia of Bridgewater State University will be presenting a project on obesity crisis in America, and will also speak from a personal perspective, as several years ago she lost 100 pounds. Having lived with obesity myself, I knew I wanted to help others and change our healthcare system and empower others to beat obesity, she said. One of her main points in her project is that exercise should be prescribed as medicine. Anne wants patients who present with obesity should be referred to an exercise physiologist, just like we refer to patients who present with signs of cancer to an oncologist. Through Anne's study, she discovered that while people are being encouraged to exercise to improve health, people don't have enough information to identify exercise professionals to help them lose weight. And Sylvia presented her project to the Capitol April 18th. This marks the 8th year in a row that a BSU student has been accepted to Posters on the Hill in Washington, D.C.
Councilors designated April 10th as Soup Man Day. Peter Kelleher began making headlines for delivering soup and much-needed winter accessories to the homeless last fall. His efforts and the community's outreach has led to the formation of a nonprofit.
It is with great pride that the town of Bridgewater presents this proclamation to Peter Kelleher. Whereas Mr. Peter Kelleher is widely known as the Soup Man, and whereas Peter has honored the memory of his son Travis Kelleher by providing food to homeless citizens, and whereas Peter's work to help the homeless has evolved to include not only food, but clothing and basic hygienic products, and whereas Peter's organization, Support the Soup Man Corp., is becoming known worldwide for its compassion and community outreach, and whereas Support the Soup Man Corp. Is now a 501c3 organization that has received considerable assistance from the citizens of Massachusetts and the United States, and whereas Peter continues to help the most vulnerable populations affected not only by homelessness, but also drug addiction, and whereas Peter's acts of kindness have inspired others to contribute their support to the Soup Man, now therefore the town of Bridgewater wishes to acknowledge Peter's accomplishments and dedication as the Soup Man, proclaiming April 10th, 2018 as Support the Soup Man Day in the town of Bridgewater.
You can find out more about the Soup Man, including ways to donate, at supportthesoupman.org.
The innovations in technology is used to teach, inspire, and sometimes distract. Doctors say this can work, but caution it's only a temporary fix. Mary Evers has more.
A concerning estimate suggests kids are watching 5 to 7 hours of screen time every day. And according to Cleveland Clinic child psychologist Joe Osterman, young minds need social human interaction, and too much screen time can slow a child's development on many levels.
The more screen time a child has, the poorer outcomes they have with academic success. So they don't do well in school. The harder time they have in interacting with peers. The harder time they have in developing appropriate social acumen and being able to interact with people socially. It's directly related to the amount of screen time they had.
Dr. Osterman says kids with abundance of screen time may lose the ability to understand the emotions of others. This can lead to a child having fewer friends, poor relationships, and lower self-esteem, according to Dr. Osterman. In addition, research has associated higher levels of early childhood screen time with emotional and family issues. For tweens and teens, he says spending a lot of time on social media right before bed can disrupt sleep and lead to trouble at school, including symptoms similar to ADHD. He recommends kids turn devices off at least 1 hour before bedtime. Signs that your child may be engaging in too much screen time, including a complete obsession with digital media to the point where they become angry or sad when it's taken away or cut back. He says parents are looking to limit screen time needs to remember it's important to model screen-free behavior themselves.
It's very important that you get off social media, that you put your cell phones down, put them away when you're engaging in family activities, and that translates to kids learning appropriate behaviors with screen time.
Dr. Osterman says that sitting down to a family dinner can be a positive for social, family, and emotional development, so it's especially important to turn off these devices during dinner time. In other health news, there's reassuring information for more than 50 million Americans who suffer from arthritis pain. Newly published research shows that adding aspirin to popular prescription arthritis drugs, celecoxib, known as Celebrex, ibuprofen, or naproxen, slightly changes how they interact with your cardiovascular system, but for the most part, they're safe to take together.
We found overall that you can take aspirin safely with these drugs. There are still advantages to taking celecoxib rather than ibuprofen and naproxen. But if anything, the drugs are overall reasonably safe to take along with aspirin.
Researchers analyzed data from the 2016 Precision trial, where authors studied more than 24,000 people with osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis who were at high risk for heart disease. Participants took daily prescription doses of either ibuprofen, naproxen, or celecoxib. That study showed that the heart risk for the drugs was pretty much equivalent, and that celecoxib had the fewest gastrointestinal and kidney complication. The new study looks at Precision participants who are also taking aspirin and investigates how aspirin may change the safety of the 3 prescription pain relievers. Results show that taking aspirin with any of the 3 drugs is relatively safe. However, the safety of celecoxib compared to ibuprofen and naproxen is narrowed a bit when taken with aspirin. Dr. Nissen says that new information should not cause worry, but it is important for people who take prescription pain relievers and aspirin to talk to their doctor.
I do think that patients that take these pain relievers, particularly in full therapeutic doses, will want to discuss with their doctor if they are also taking aspirin to make certain that they're making the best possible choices.
And that's a check for your health for this week. I'm Mary Evers.
In today's tech, scientists are on track to revolutionizing the way plastics are recycled. They have improved a naturally occurring enzyme which can digest some of the most commonly produced plastics. Plastic takes hundreds of years to break down, but the modified enzyme takes only a few days. Originally discovered in Japan, the enzyme is produced by a bacterium which eats the plastic. Big challenges lie ahead, like developing a technique for producing the enzyme cheaply, as well as harnessing its power on an industrial scale.
Here's a look at some of the programming coming up on BTV and btvaccess.com. The town was updated on some of the events in the town government during the annual State of the Town address, which you saw earlier, and you can see that on Channel 22 before each airing of the town council meeting. On Channel 9, a special meeting regarding the proposed High Street dam removal and fish passage feasibility study. The meeting took place on April 5th at the Academy Building and will discuss the findings of the completed feasibility study for improving fish passage and public safety at the dam. Also on Channel 9, the Bridgewater Police pinning ceremony. 5 local police officers were promoted with their families and local officials in attendance. We'll show you the entire ceremony, the specials, plus our regular programming, including Bridgewater Review, which you're watching right now, coming up on channels 9, 22, 98, and available online on demand at btvaccess.com. So it's on demand, so you can go ahead and watch the April Fool's show where you made a new friend in Gunther. So.
Yeah, I did make a new friend in Gunther.
Yeah. You guys awkwardly did the choo-choo Charlie thing, but we'll get past that later.
You'll use that footage forever, won't you?
Probably.
When we return, we'll have your community news and notes.
Maybe make them out Scott too, who knows. But we'll also catch you up on the BSU spring sports season, plus 2 BR seniors signed their letters of intent. Where are they going? We'll find out after the break. And as we go to break, the choruses from across the BR School District held a Choral-Palooza on April 6th at the high school. The bands from across the district will hold their own Bandorama coming up on April 27th. You're watching the final performance from the Choral-Palooza. We'll be right back.
The storm is passing over. The storm packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you're looking for a way to have fun and make friends while staying active over the cold winter months, the Bridgewater Sports Complex, also known as the Dome, is a great place to check out. When do you offer the programs? Like what time of year?
For the most part, it's really fall and winter. We do very sparingly things over the spring and summer, but mostly fall and winter.
Greg Allen has worked at the Dome since 2006, overseeing some of the day-to-day operations. The Dome hosts several sports, including lacrosse, field hockey, softball, and soccer. You can learn how to play each sport and join a league.
For clinics, we start at 4 years old, and for teams, we start at 8 years old and go all the way up to adults.
In between games, fans can get a bite to eat and play some of the best arcade games. The Bridgewater Sports Complex is located on Route 18, 350 Bedford Street. This is Alex reporting for the Teen News.
Life seemed dull? Well, don't be blue, 'cause I can tell you what to do and guarantee she'll notice you. Yeah? Brush your teeth. Buttons and bows and painted toes, powder on your turned-up nose. He'll look at you. Yeah? If you brush your teeth. Brush that hair down thick or thin. If it's too long, get a trim. To make her dig you, yeah, brush your teeth.
On the calendar, it says spring, but for the spring sports teams over at Bridgewater State, it's been a difficult go of it lately. Recapping some of the spring sports teams at BSU, we're going to start off with the softball team, who are 10-14 after their doubleheader win against Fitchburg State. The team had a stretch of 6 losses in 7 games, which set the team back, obviously. There were a couple of accolades for the Lady Bears, as their second baseman, Jenny Heller, won the conference's Player of the Week for a stretch that included a 6-for-14 performance at the plate with 2 doubles, a triple, and 5 RBI. The team has 12 games left, with Senior Day taking place at the university coming up on April 21st. Meanwhile, next door at the sports complex, the baseball team lost to Mother Nature for most of the month of March. After the Team Florida road trip, the team went nearly 3 weeks without playing a game. BSU's head coach Rick Smith is retiring at the end of the season, and despite losing about half a month, it's been a long year for the team, who's on a 9-game losing streak. The team has a 5-game homestand, which will be the final home games of the season, ending with Curry on April 25th. Over at the regional, a pair of BR athletes signed their national letters of intent for college next school year. Andrew LeMay, joined by his parents and coach Glenda Pomprion, signed on to play golf at St. Bonaventure. Julia Chase, who was part of the New England champion gymnastics team at the high school, signed on to be part of the acrobatics and tumbling team at Quinnipiac University. Julia was joined by her family and coaches. Congrats to both athletes on moving forward in their athletic careers. The softball team took on Silver Lake during April vacation. Brian Barrard has more on the non-conference game over at the regional.
The Lady Trojans took on the Lady Lakers of Silver Lake on Wednesday. The Trojans look to prove that they're one of the elite teams in the region against the Silver Lake team coming off of a 25-1 season just a year ago. Julia Ferry pitched a masterful game, striking out 5 and only allowing 2 hits and a complete game shutout. Offensively, she went 2 for 3 with 2 singles and 2 runs. Lexi Silver and Jocelyn Donahue each scored 2 runs as well in the win. For Bridgewater Review, I'm Brian Berard.
All right, thanks, Brian. Over 30,000 runners braved the wind and rain to run in the 122nd annual Boston Marathon. Of those 30,000 plus that came to Massachusetts from around the world, 9 runners came from right here in Bridgewater. All 9 runners finished the race, with Heidi Lombard posting a local best of 4 hours, 14 minutes, and 40 seconds. Lauren Kelly wasn't far behind with a time of 4:18:22. Scott Longo finished third in Bridgewater runners with a time of 4:25:41. Congrats to all the runners on finishing the race in the toughest conditions seen in a Boston Marathon in about 30 or 35 years.
To your news and notes now. Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect is co-sponsoring a film series with the Unitarian Universalist Church. The Black Lives Matter film series continues on April 24th with the showing of Detroit, a fact-based drama set during the 1967 Detroit riots. The movie begins at 7 p.m. in the Upper Parish Hall of the First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church.
This year marks the 150th anniversary of the impeachment trial of President Andrew Johnson. On May 8th, historian and professor Dr. Gary Highlander will discuss the process of impeachment and how post-Civil War politics and partisanship of Reconstruction led to the removal of President Johnson. This will take place at 6:30 in the Bridgewater Public Library.
The popular Paint a Portrait of Your Pet event is coming back to the library on May 12th at 10 a.m. You'll need to provide a clear picture of your pet of at least 5 days prior to the class. All supplies and a guided lesson are provided. Registration and payment is required in advance at theblueanchorstudio.net.
St. Thomas Aquinas Parish will host the first of the 2018 season's Candlelight Rosary processions at 7:30 p.m. on Mother's Day, May 13th. The guest speaker will be Reverend Edward Riley from St. John's Seminary in Brighton. The processions held on the 13th of the month from May to October are in honor of Our Lady of Fatima.
The second annual Race to End Addiction will be held on May 19th at the Bridgewater State University campus. The event will feature the 5K, a cookout, addiction awareness presentations, and a section for attendees to receive information about addiction and recovery. All of the money raised will benefit local addiction and recovery nonprofits, including Teen Challenge, Learn to Cope, Team Sharing Inc., EB Hope, PCO Hope, and the Plymouth Recovery Center. Those who wish to participate in the race can register at runtoendaddiction.com.
The Friends of Music Alley are gearing up for another summer for free outdoor concerts. The season starts on Thursday, June 7th and will run through Thursday, September 6th. For more information or to support the alley, visit bridgewatermusicalley.com. And that's all the time we have for this edition of the Bridgewater Review.
We hope you'll join us again for our next episode of the program. In the meantime, you can stay up to date with the new editions of BTV Right Now on our Facebook page and at btvaccess.com. I'm Scott Olson.
I'm John Luck. Thanks for watching.